This is the oral presentation for the Level 5 Positive Psychology Fundamentals Diploma, Unit 5 Motivation, by James Mcintyre Ure. My tutor is Claire Higgins. Self-determination theory, exploring motivational influences behind change. First of all, let's define change. It has French and Latin origins, and in both it means to exchange or substitute one for another, implying that there's a cost, whether this might be opportunity or personal, in order to become different. Why do people want to change? Well, it's a way of bridging the gap between the current self and ideal self. If we look at Boyatzis and Acreview's definition of ideal self, it is the evolving motivational core within the self, focusing a person's desires, hopes, aspirations, and dreams. It's even described as a core mechanism for self-regulation and intrinsic motivation, being a source of positive effect. Most of these factors are crucial for flourishing and Rogers' idea of the fully functioning self. It's also a major reason people seek coaching. So I'm interested in what affects people's potential of flourishing and what that could mean on an individual level. Deci and Ryan's self-determination theory outlines 3 key influences. So first, we'll explore relatedness and why people sacrifice their own needs for others. We'll then discuss the importance of autonomy and meaning. Finally, we'll move on to competence and how the effects of self-belief, self-talk, and past experiences affect us moving forward. We'll mainly be exploring self-determination theory as it focuses on the qualitative aspects of motivation, but I'll also give a brief mention to other key theories such as approach avoidant, self-efficacy, and lay theories. This topic engaged my interest because since learning more about my own motivations on the course, observing those around me and having a keen interest in what drives other people to achieve their full potential. Throughout the presentation, I'll make reference to a happiness project I did prior to this course, and that was an accountability group I led who met once a month to discuss 30-day goals. So relatedness, what is it? A sense of belonging and care for others. Deci and Ryan were not the first to emphasize the importance of belonging. This can have ties back to Maslow and even before that. It's also defined as a purpose and connection to something bigger than ourselves. Embarking on change might involve a sacrifice of some kind, and we consider a definition of sacrifice. It is the foregoing one's self-interest to promote the well-being of a partner or relationship. 2 things to note here is the importance of positive relationships and coming at a personal cost. In romantic relationships, this might affect behavior in 2 ways, according to the approach avoidance theory. First of all, people might be motivated to silence their own needs and cognitive dissonance by always being available for their partner. This would be approach motivated. Being available provides a sense of security, which enhances relatedness, according to Deci and Ryan. Alternatively, people might be motivated to not do something and behave in a way that avoids potential conflicts or seeking new experiences and working towards self-actualization. In my happiness project, when someone was asked about their obstacles to goal achievement of reading for the month, they often responded with, "I didn't do it because John wanted to watch a movie," or "John wasn't feeling very well." Here we can see them putting their other needs ahead of their own. In other words, making a sacrifice. Why did they do this? Or were they trying to enhance a sense of relatedness by providing care to their partner? Perhaps it had the potential to cause a conflict that they were trying to avoid. Impet and Gordon, along with many others, note that sacrifices are a way of building trust and showing commitment in a relationship. In a longitudinal study of romantic relationships, those who made sacrifices reported greater satisfaction, more commitment, and lower likelihood of divorce 6 years later. Who knows what happened after this? But this presents a dilemma, of course. When does one know that they've shown sufficient commitment and earned the trust of their partner? When do people start to prioritize their own needs to enable them to flourish? If we consider some pathways to flourishing then, well, relationships is a key element of PERMA, Seligman's well-being theory. Could some people value those close connections more than becoming their ideal self? Maybe people just need a little bit more courage and to speak up about their own needs. In a supportive relationship, one can expect some kind of negotiation if there's a conflict of interests. If not, is it in their best interest to leave the relationship? Finally, there could be an underuse or overuse of character strength, of kindness. There's a lot to be said for Aristotle's golden mean and striking that balance between meeting our own needs and those around us. The second feature of self-determination theory is autonomous motivation, and this is feeling in control of our lives and what we do on a daily basis. Choice is a crucial factor here. When we're feeling autonomous, we show greater levels of engagement, persistence, and performance with our intentions to change. In its absence, we might feel like we're going through the motions, living corpses following a script drained of meaning. This idea of doing something without thinking it's very important or having much interest in it. While this might be inevitable at times in our jobs, it becomes more problematic when it's prolonged. Perhaps routine establishes a sense of certainty and is comforting for some people. If we consider the idea of following a script and think back to childhood, a lot of our decisions in our lives are orchestrated by others, and particularly our parents. Not much autonomy is involved, but rather compliance. So we might be forced to do something which has little intrinsic meaning to us and find it difficult to stay motivated over time. In fact, many young adults across Asian countries are told to study business, admin, or English because their parents want them to continue the family business. Decades of research has shown that these controlling approaches promote introjection rather than integration. Sometimes people want us to have more motivation for the things they want us to do. I think here introjection acts as a polar opposite force to autonomy, and I think it can be mistaken for laziness. Since being a teacher for the past 12 years, there's been so many times I've thought that students were being lazy when in fact they were just lacking autonomy. And instead of having a choice, they were fulfilling an expectation. Even outside of the classroom, the importance of autonomy was noticeable in my happiness project. People endorsed some 30-day goals and made them sound really appealing, yet when I tried them, I quickly lost motivation. I realize it's crucial to question the meaning behind the goals you set yourself and any changes you want to make. When it was my own choice and the meaning resonated with the things I valued, like personal development, persistence came willingly. By being the least bit curious, we can reflect on our own motivations. It would be worth asking, whose script are we following? What would achieving this goal mean to me? By being the owners of our own behavior and choosing to pursue goals that are meaningful for us, we can embrace the meaning element of Seligman's well-being theory. Instead of having needs unmet and choosing extrinsic goals, we can look at the idea of change being endorsed based on our own values or an individual's values. This has been proven to be much more effective than being led by rewards and coerced with punishments. However, psychology is not always black and white. Is everyone in a position to decide what they get to do? Some people need to prioritize feeding their family and keeping a roof over their heads. For me, I have an endless thirst for knowledge. Is this my signature strength, love of learning, or is it introjection from my dad in childhood? As he always said to me, you never stop learning. This section's explored how introjection can have a powerful influence on the types of goals you might set, but we need to consider what they are. I know I'm used to putting others first because love, fairness, and forgiveness are my signature strengths, but when I contemplate my own ideal day, I sometimes struggle to answer. Moving on to the last discussion point, competence. Our beliefs about our capabilities also have a strong influence over whether we embark on change, and whether we succeed is of equal importance. Though there's a lot to be unpacked here, we'll focus on two factors in particular: beliefs about our competence and the effect of past experiences and feedback. So first, what do we mean by competence? The ability to master our internal and external environments, where skills, knowledge, and expertise affect our ability to control certain outcomes. When they're lacking, we're likely to have low confidence and self-belief. When we're not feeling challenged, we might experience boredom, both causing avoidance behaviors like procrastination. Ideally, a challenge needs to be at an optimal level. So as well as that, fundamental assumptions about the self and your environment can alter the way people cognitively process things and perceive things. These are known as lay theories. If we believe our abilities are fixed traits, that's an entity mindset, whereby people avoid challenges. Whereas an incremental mindset is believing our attributes are malleable, and this encourages us to approach challenges. Molden and Dweck also highlight a key difference in self-regulation strategies, where entity-minded people are more likely to protect their self-regard as opposed to improve it. Another aspect of competence is the need to experience satisfaction in extending our capabilities. This satisfaction is reliant on feedback. Depending on whether it's positive or negative, it can enhance or undermine our feelings of competence. I think competence can also be undermined when feedback is either delayed or missing, as it's like being left in a limbo of uncertainty. In fact, past performance is a key factor in Bandura's self-efficacy theory as well, so we can see a connection there. When attempts to change have been unsuccessful, we might form prolonged negative assumptions about the self. And over time, these can cause a lot of avoidance motivated behaviors and ultimately reduce our well-being. In fact, low self-efficacy is most predictive of procrastination tendencies, particularly for undergraduates in academia. Could this be the same for outside of academia and for adults, I wonder? If we consider the pathways to flourishing, well, attribution theory and explanatory styles help determine one's self-regulatory responses to setbacks, and they're an effective tool for coaches for just a better understanding of one's motivations. But do they work for everyone? When we recognize past successes, they can help distance us from failure. But how often does this happen? How often are we reminded of this? Positive self-talk can also be effective in academic performance, and there's a huge amount of literature supporting the use of positive self-talk in non-competitive sports. But how about competitive sports? This remains to be conclusive. So that brings us towards the end of the presentation. Let's briefly recap what we covered. My objective was to explore the three dimensions of the self-determination theory in order to understand the motivations either causing or preventing a change to our ideal selves. It's apparent in romantic relationships that people make sacrifices because they value a sense of belonging. Though sacrifices might prevent them from becoming their ideal selves, courage and negotiation can ensure needs are met and other people's, providing us with a sense of relatedness. As with any area of psychology, contextual differences might reveal different results, so this needs to be explored. Sometimes we might feel demotivated because there's a lack of meaning and autonomy in our lives. By raising people's awareness of introspection and reflecting on the meaning behind our own intentions, it will guide clients towards more meaningful and sustainable change. We then discussed how low self-belief can be reinforced over time. When we're failing someone, we might replace certain needs with external validation, which is out of our control. Looking at improving self-regard and reminding ourselves of past successes can help provide us with confidence to move forward. Negative self-talk can be replaced with positive self-talk. By being curious, we can understand procrastination better. So throughout this presentation, there's been clear links to Seligman's well-being theory. Relatedness shows the importance of relationships. Autonomy for meaning and competence is connected to achievements. Ultimately, self-determination theory can help people find different creating conditions where they can motivate themselves. Not to mention the crucial importance of activating the character strengths. Thank you.